the studio, it's Froyle here and I'm so glad you've joined me. I'm a little excited this week because I'm going to do some more experimenting, compounding our techniques and pushing the art a little bit further. Last week I showed you my brand new stencils from PM Artist Studio. It's a glorious design called The Journey Home and I was sharing with you my story. It was a lot of fun. The week before that I was experimenting with some pouring paint and adding jelly prints to the composition. I loved all of it. So this week we're doing both. I've pulled out a beautiful little 12" by 12" or 30" square canvas and I'm putting the stencil on with a little bit of low tack tape to hold it in place. I'm using a muted turquoise and a makeup sponge and I'm adding the paint through the stencil. It looks pretty good. It's a little smudgy, but not too bad. The design's just glorious. So what I want to do is add some pouring paint techniques on top of the beautiful stencils. Now, what I need to do is have transparent paint along with more opaque paint. So I'm going to use some iridescent inks, lots of pouring medium, and less paint pigment. Otherwise, I'll cover the whole thing. And there'd be no point putting it there. So I've pulled out some cerulean blue hue and some beautiful turquoise in the cobalt teal of the fluid golden paints. I'm also going to add some interference violet because I really want to create that beautiful PowerShell color. I know I went on and on about it last week because I just love it. It's very New Zealand and this is going to be a lot of fun. Now remember, the interference paints really need to go over dark background, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. I'm adding some of the pouring medium, putting the paint with it in the cup, mixing it up, creating a bit of a flow consistency. It was a squirt of paint and a dash of the pouring medium. I've got the plastic little feet that I used the first time, pop them under the canvas because you want to keep it elevated so the paint can flow over the side. They're not hugely stable. If I'm going to keep experimenting with this idea, I think I'm going to need something a little more solid. Now I've pulled out some FW inks in the pearlescent range. These inks are stunning, absolutely amazing. I'm using galactic blue, which sounds amazing, right? And waterfall green. I'm adding a few squirts in with the pouring medium, mixing them up, getting them ready. The thing about this kind of experiment, and it is a bit of an experiment, is the paint consistency is going to be thicker and slower than the inks. The inks are thinner and will flow faster. Oh, you'll see once I start pouring it around. But before we do add all of the beautiful paint colors, I want to tell you about my brand new class on Skillshare. We're up to class 6 of 100 days of collage. In this class, we're on an adventure of discovery, exploring new techniques and expanding our creative boundaries. Welcome to class 6, exploring mixed media in collage. We're heading into the vast blue galaxy with celestial skies, experimenting with watercolor fusion and expanding our knowledge, creating jelly print image transfers. We'll be incorporating bird imagery in flights of fantasy, opening a few doors of opportunities, and building layers of texture with dynamic stamped backgrounds. So come and join me. It's a whole lot of fun. It's the most comprehensive mixed media art course I've ever created. I'm absolutely loving making these classes and these lessons. Right, so the thing is, I want to keep my beautiful design on the canvas. I don't want to cover it up completely, which is why I've got some of just the clear pouring medium, because I want there to be some open spaces where you can still see the design. So I'm going to start with that, and then the muted turquoise is going to be my darkest color. I'm going to start with that up there. This beautiful blue color is a paint. It's the golden paint, so it's going to block what's underneath, so I don't really want too much of it. I've only really got a small amount in the cup because I want to use more of the transparent colors so that you're still going to see the beautiful pattern. Same with this turquoise one. It's also going to block the pattern underneath because it's a paint and not an ink. The inks are far more transparent than the paints. This one, the galactic blue, oh man, it's one of my favorites. It's the most incredible color. So let's put a few doblets of that on there. Then I'm going to give it a little tilt, move it around, see how the paint's flowing, and then add some more as we go. You do have to be a little bit brave, a little bit experimental. I love this stage, it's really fun. Now you can see that the paint moves differently to the iridescent ink, and it will also move differently to the actual ink as well. So what we want to do next is actually brush on some to fill up these spaces. I didn't mix up a huge amount of paint because my canvas is really small and I want it to be thin and very transparent rather than thick and heavy. So it's actually easier just to brush it on the areas where you want it to be if you're trying to keep some of the underneath pattern, which is what we're trying to do. I like using up all the paint. I don't want to have leftovers because we definitely don't like to waste any of it. Right, so that's covering that section. Yay for that. Let's add some of the beautiful galactic blue into this section here because that's going to sit on top of the paint, and we definitely want to be adding some of the beautiful interference violet because we want that glorious power color to come through. So let's sit it on top of these paint areas. Yay. What else have I got? Oh, I've got my fabulous waterfall green. Let's add that in there like that. Let's brush it out, get all of that beautiful color, covering beautiful. I'll give it another move. Give it another tilt and we'll see where we're at. I don't want it to be thick and heavy, so we kind of have to take it a little bit careful because I do tend to put on too much. Oh, I forgot my iridescent pouring medium. Let's add some of that in there. This is also more of an opaque color, so you don't want to add too much of it because then it's going to cover everything else. But let's put a little stream through there. That's a fun idea. Righto. Get some movement going on. They do flow at a different rate because of the heaviness of the paint compared to the inks. So we just want to make sure we're going to get all the sides covered. Yay, beautiful. Looking beautiful. Can we still see the pattern? That's the question. Can we still see the pattern? Well, the thing is we can add some more of the clear pouring medium onto some areas if we've covered too much of the pattern. The interference purple's looking rather beautiful already. These iridescent inks have such an incredible finish to them. They work really well for this and they're not too heavy. Righto, let's see where we're at. Put my little feet up. How's it looking? The beautiful iridescent violet's coming through because I put it on top of that dark color. Maybe a bit much of the green in there, but it's looking okay. I'm going to add a little bit more of the violet here because that's going to flow probably towards the middle and it's going to sit really well on that beautiful dark muted turquoise. I think we're looking pretty good. I can see the pattern strong through there. Not so much here. We can always brush them off. That's the thing as well. You can change it. So if I bring the brush through here and just push it off like that, that's going to change the flow and the pattern. Now you can obviously see more of it there. And then what we can do is fill that up with just the clear pouring medium. and then we won't lose all of that beautiful pattern underneath. While it's still wet, it's so easy to change the design and the composition, move things around. Once it starts to dry, but you really don't want to mess with it too much. You have to just let it be. So that's better. That's given me a nice stripe through the middle there of the pattern underneath. Much happier with that. I think I'm going to have to get better feet. These don't stay in place. Right, looking beautiful. Just do a little touch up on the side there. Make sure it's flowing in the right direction. And now we just have to leave it. Let it dry, see how it looks. Now we have to let the painting sit still while it dries. And if there's any slight tilt of your canvas or what it's sitting on or on your table, the paint will flow in that direction. And I was noticing that it did have a little bit of a flow. But not too bad. Have a look at how amazingly beautiful it looks, sitting there all wet and lush. And the beautiful pearlescent colours are absolutely shining. I really hope it dries as well. And I also hope you get to still see my beautiful pattern underneath. Now, when it was dry, I gave the sides a little bit of a touch up. It makes me feel good. They're nice and neat and looking beautiful. It just finishes the canvas so well. So what do you think about my beautiful painting? It's not too bad. I didn't cover it up too much. The beautiful pearlescent colours look amazing, don't you think? And you can still see the glorious interference violet, which I'm really excited about. It looks really beautiful on top of the turquoise. It looks all shiny, and you can see still quite a lot of the kawhaiwhai and the beautiful kuru pattern underneath. And what I like about it is the paint layer and the ink, they mix together really well because it's all beautiful water-based paints, but they sit differently. So you can kind of see a little bit of texture and you can see the outline of the painting from underneath. So I think it was hugely successful. I'm really happy that I brushed out this section here and added more of the pouring medium, because then you can see more layers of the underneath painting. Now you do have to have a mix of the opaque colors and the transparent colors if you want to see through that kind of idea where there's something underneath the painting. I think it's a lot of fun. I really had a great time creating the painting, and I think we could do some more experiments with this idea. What do you think? Thanks for joining me today. I had so much fun creating this beautiful canvas with my fabulous stencils. Don't forget, you'll find them at PM Artist Studio or the links in the description under the video for more information. You can also find more on my website, froyalart.com, and I'm going to leave you with the video from last week in case you missed it, where I'm telling you all about the beautiful stencils and the designs and the story of finding my way home. So I'll see you next time in the studio.